Well, good evening, everyone. Start of construction here. I'm working back over in the corner, just to the right of the windows here. I'm going to pull off this baseboard to set the cabinets back against the corner. And this is supposed to be model railroading, but just some home remodeling tips. Normally, baseboards today are not made out of wood. They're normally pressed board or some other imitation of wood, and when you pull them off, you can see those finish nails that are sticking through there. Just kind of a tip on how to remove those things without ruining your baseboard. If you have a set of channel locks or vice grips, hopefully this will show up. you can grab the nail. This is from the back side of the board, and you can just use the curvature of those pliers as a lever to pull the nail through from the front side to the back. And what that does, it leaves the face of your baseboard unmarked. And so, obviously when you nail this thing back on, or at least when I nail it back on, I'm going to be using a brad nailer instead of these finish nails because I don't have a nail gun that will accommodate these long finish nails. So really all it's got to do is go through the drywall and go into the plate, which is behind the base of the drywall here. But anyway, just a quick update on removing nails. So anyway, that's it for now. So another quick tip. I'm back in the corner here again, and I'm going to remove this other length of baseboard that runs along the window. Step one is right along the top of the baseboard there is normally a seam of caulking, and you want to take a utility knife and cut that seam first. Just go along the top there. Try not to cut your baseboard like I just did, but just split that caulking seam. And what that does when you pull the baseboard away, if you have the caulking cut, it will prevent you from pulling paint off the wall. I don't know if you can see along here or not, but that's what I did on this side, was cut that caulking line first, and it just peels right away. And then what that leaves you with normally is up here on the wall a thin seam of caulking, which you can just peel away. It peels off really easily, and then when you reattach your baseboards, obviously you're going to caulk on top of that again to take up the gap between the drywall and the baseboard. But anyway, home construction 101, or maybe in this case home demolition 101. So anyway, I hope to get these things set in here tonight. So if I do, I'll go ahead and maybe make a few more short videos. Talk to you later. So another tip on when you first start to pull these things away is take a wide putty knife like this one. This one's, I don't know, 6 inches wide or so, and start the edge down in behind. That'll get you, at least a start on breaking the baseboard away. And then get yourself on these little pry bars. I don't know how long this is. I don't know, 6 or 8 inches long. But what you can do is you can get this down behind and then pry against the putty knife. That way you won't put a hole in your drywall as you're prying the baseboard off. Once you get it started and get, I don't know, a gap of a ½ an inch or so, you can use a longer crowbar, longer pry bar, which I've got here behind me. But I don't know if I can get all of me and the camera and everything in here at once, but just kind of put this down behind. You can pull back on the putty knife. I don't know if you can see this or not, and kind of get down behind there to start. And then once you get your pry bar behind there, you can slide your knife down behind and then just gently pull back on there a little bit, and then take a bigger pry bar now that you've got a gap started, and stick that larger one in there and just twist sideways on this until you hear that pop. And that's the first nail coming loose. So once you've got that first nail loose, you can work your way down the length of the board. You know, it's great if you can find those nails back there and just kind of pry a little bit. It's always good if you have two crowbars. Pry a little bit longer and just work your way down until you come to the seam in the baseboard, which for me is about 4 or 5 feet further on down here, right under the window. So this may not be too interesting, but especially with all the hand movements. But just kind of work your way loose there. You don't want to pry too hard again, because you could break the drywall behind the baseboard. Here it's not so critical because obviously that drywall is going to be covered up, in this case, with cabinets. And normally if you're putting baseboards back, you know, you'll be covering it up with the baseboard, but you still don't want to break your drywall if you can't help it. So I think I have a seam. I apologize if it's getting dark here. I'm in behind the sofa. But here's my seam. I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, that's kind of the process. You can see it's now pulled away fairly well, and so the way the carpenters did this when they attached these baseboards at the seam here is they put 3 nails through the seam. So it's going to take me 2 hands to get that loose. So I will go ahead and stop for now. Alright, the last thing is, when you get to a corner like this one, there's normally a caulk seam in the corner here where they've done the miter. And you want to run your knife up between those boards and then down from the top as well, just to split that seam there and break the adhesion. And then hopefully all goes as planned, it should break loose. So I've got this loose the whole way down here, so I'm going to come here down where the seam is and break that loose. And then once I get that separated, I'll be able to lift it up and pull it out of the corner there. So anyway, removing baseboard. The trick is, now that I've got this pulled away down there in the corner, if you just lift up vertically, slowly on the baseboard, any nails that are driven into the corner should release and it should come right out. So then what I've got to do now is go back and, like those nails in the corner, any that are still there, I'll go back and pull those out. Obviously you want a flat surface to apply your baseboards back against. And here's some of that caulking. You can see it just peels right off here. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. Maybe I didn't film it. But anyway, it comes off cleanly. Alright, so a couple of things when setting cabinets. One thing I did tonight, which I didn't I didn't film, was let's see, I don't know if you can see over behind that speaker. I've got speaker jacks that I had pre-wired before the bonus room was finished, so I wouldn't have to run a wire after my drywall was up. So anyway, what I had to do tonight, you see down there the one that's got that cover plate on it, that's where the speaker jack was for the left back channel, or left surround channel rather. Right surround channel, I'm looking at it backwards. So anyway, I had to move that up, and when I get the cabinet set in here, that speaker, which is now over there, will sit on top of the counter back here in the corner. So I just wanted to raise the jack up so that I wouldn't have to have wires hanging down in front of the speaker, or I'm sorry, in front of the cabinet. So anyhow, that was project one, and I was lucky enough to, let me walk over here to the computer. I've got a computer up here that I use as a a media server, you know, fancy name for pictures and video. But I don't know if you can see this, but that is a picture of the bonus room before it was finished. And so I know exactly where the studs are and where the power runs are. So you know, obviously they're through the studs. So I'm going to be careful to try and not drill into any of those. They are lower than 36 inches, which is the top rail of my cabinet here in the back. That's what I'm going to be drilling through into the studs. So, but anyway, I've got these pictures of the bonus room. So the other thing I've done is I've gone along the wall over there with my stud finder, and I have marked the beginning and end of each stud. And what I'll do is when I get the cabinet set in, I'll drill through this back rail into a stud and anchor them that way. So I've got I think 3 or 4 of these pictures here. This is the one of the corner that I'm working in right now, so it's helpful. But anyway, what I was talking about, the surround wiring that I had done, you can see where that blue outlet box is. Two studs to the left of that is where that speaker outlet box is mounted. So I knew the wire came down from the top because when I was in here before the drywall was in, I had them run the speakers from here. This is the flat screen and the front speakers. They run into the wall, up over the ceiling joist, and down to the back. So luckily I was able to move that box up because the wire came down from the top. So I had, you know, obviously extra wire. I just pulled it back up through. So I've got to do that on the other side here eventually. There's going to be a wall there anyway, but I'm going to put a shelf on the inside to the left side of that wall and put that speaker the same height as the other one on the back side. So anyway, just wanted to show you, you know, I was kind of lucky just to take pictures of all this stuff beforehand. But anyway, setting cabinets, if you're doing kitchen cabinets and you have an L-shaped kitchen, you always set the corner cabinet or one of the corner cabinets in first. Theory being that you know, if you set the corner cabinet and it's plumb and it's level and you run all the other cabinets off of that one, you should have straight runs down both walls. Obviously the other thing that you have to do in a kitchen is you have to find the high spot along your wall, and once you do that, you measure up from that high spot to the top of your cabinets and you put a level line across the wall all the way around. And then when you start on the corner, you bring the top of your cabinet up to that level line, and that's how you anchor it. I don't have that issue here because my floor is level, so I'm lucky there. What I'm going to do is start in the corner. I have these wooden shims. They're, I don't know, they start about maybe a 32nd of an inch there on the thin side. They run up to about a quarter, somewhere between a quarter and 3/8. Hopefully I won't need these, but I bought them just in case I do. I may have to shim because the walls may not be plumb back here. So what I'm going to do now is grab the first cabinet and set it in here, and I've got a small torpedo level, which is that short one, and then a longer level. The torpedo level I'm going to use tonight because my cabinets are only a foot deep. So that will help me front to back level, and then the longer level side to side. So I'm going to start that, get this first one in plumb, and then I'll show you the attachment process. So once you get the first cabinet in, you clamp the face frames together. Obviously you got to take the doors off, and I've drilled a pilot hole on the right side of that rightmost cabinet's upright there through the face frame, and then you screw through the face frame into the face frame of cabinet number 2. And that's how you tie them together. Obviously I've got clamps on here to make sure that the cabinets don't move while I'm drilling, and that everything stays nice and plumb and level. So that's what I'm going to do next, and after we do that, we'll set cabinet 3. Alright, so there they are, bank 1 of cabinets in, set, level, doors back on. So I'm going to do the other ones tomorrow night. It's getting a little bit late tonight, and I got to move all this stuff away from the wall to get the baseboard off. So Bigger job tomorrow night. But anyway, there you go. See ya.